What if one day, a stunning beauty shows up with $20 million, offering to marry you and make you the father of her unborn child? Would you say yes when I laid eyes on the bombshell in front of me? Curved for days, drop dead, gorgeous. I didn't hesitate for a second. Pausing even a moment would be an insult to that kind of cash. After all, 20 million is 20 million. Anyone who turns that down is an idiot. Being a stepdad? Big deal. These days, plenty of guys marry divorcees with kids in tow. But this time, I was scoring a fortune plus a total knockout. Mr. Carter, here's the cashier's check for 20 million, along with a prenup. Sign on the dotted line, and the money's yours. So, I stared at the woman named Rachel Quinn, my brain short-circuiting. This all kicked off about an hour ago. Me, Alex Carter, your average Joe with a desk job, pulling in $8 grand a month, slurping instant ramen in my crappy apartment, stressing over next month's rent. The doorbell rang. I figured it was the landlord hounding me for cash. I opened up, and there she was, a woman screaming high maintenance from head to toe. Her name was Rachel Quinn, and she looked, well, she was the kind of woman where if you spotted her on the street, you'd whip your head around and walk straight into a lamppost. She cut right to the chase. Marry her, take the 20 million, on the condition that I step up as the father to the baby she was carrying. My first thought, this had to be some new scam, until she slapped that $20 million check right on top of my ramen lid. That's when I realized things were getting weird. I held that flimsy piece of paper, feeling like it weighed more than my entire 20-something years of life put together. Why me? I asked, sounding like a total dope. Rachel's eyes scanned my tiny 150-square-foot dump, landing back on me, calm as a still pond. Because you're average, clean-cut, and you fit what I'm looking for. Average? Thanks a bunch. Clean-cut? I just washed my hair yesterday. The agreement's straightforward, she said, nodding at the papers on the table. 1-year marriage. You play the part of a decent husband and father. After that, we divorce, the kid stays with me, and you walk away with nothing else, but the 20 million is your payout. To the outside world, you're the biological father. I picked up the prenup, my hand shaking a bit. What about the real dad? I couldn't help myself. Rachel's eyes iced over for a split second, so fast I thought I imagined it. He's dead. My stomach dropped. That was a lot to unpack. You don't need the details, just nail your role, she added. I've run a full background check on you. Orphan, no family ties, simple social circle. That's a plus. Getting my life turned inside out and spun as a compliment. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I glanced at the check, then back at her. 20 million. The number exploded in my head. In my lifetime, no, in my next one too, I never scraped together that much. With this, no more cramming into rush hour subways, no more kissing up to the boss, no more rent worries. I could even head back to my hometown, buy a big house, and fish every day. As for being a stepdad, hey, some laugh at me for being nuts, but I laugh at them for not seeing the big picture. 20 million to play dad. The kid's not mine. Even if it was an alien from Mars, I'd sign on. I grabbed the pen and scrawled my name at the bottom. Pleasure doing business, Rachel said, standing up, her tone all corporate, like we just inked a merger instead of a marriage pact. Pleasure's mine, I replied, staring at the check, my grin looking more like a grimace. Just like that, in 1 hour, I went from broke loser to multimillionaire, plus a married man and dad-to-be. Life really is full of surprises. Rachel Quinn moved fast, scary fast. The next morning, a black SUV pulled up outside my rundown apartment building. I lugged my cheap duffel bag, worth maybe $30 total, downstairs, ignoring the neighbor's stares as I hopped in. The ride took us to a gated community I'd only seen in real estate magazines. This is home for the next year, Rachel said, handing me a key card, her voice flat. I followed her into the 3-story mansion with its own garden and pool, feeling like I was floating on air. A middle-aged housekeeper greeted us immediately. Miss Quinn, Mr. Carter. Mrs. Walker, this is Alex Carter, my husband. You'll handle the household affairs from here, Rachel introduced. Mrs. Walker gave me a quick once-over, surprise flickering in her eyes before she masked it with a smile. Nice to meet you, Mr. Carter. I nodded awkwardly. Rachel led me upstairs, pointing to a room next to the master bedroom. This is your room. I blinked. We aren't sharing. She turned, looking at me like I was dense. Mr. Carter, this is a contract marriage. I need the husband title, not the real deal. Stick to your lane. She paused, adding, of course, around others, we need to act the part. I rubbed my nose. Fine, whatever the boss says. I walked in my room. It was triple the size of my old place, with an en-suite bathroom and walk-in closet. The closet was already stocked with new men's clothes, from casual wear to suits, the logos blinding me. On the table sat a new phone and a wallet containing several black cards I'd never seen before. I flopped onto the soft king-size bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like it was all a dream. Is this how the rich live? Simple, boring, and absolutely awesome. The next few days were my dream slacker life. Sleep in, and Mrs. Walker whips up a killer breakfast. After that, I wanted the house, watch movies, play video games, or lounge by the pool. Rachel was always out, early mornings, late nights. We barely spoke. She was like a fancy roommate who happened to pay my bills. Our only interactions revolved around the pregnancy. Tomorrow, come with me to the checkup, she said over dinner one night. I paused and nodded. Sure. It was the first time I was stepping into the husband role for real. The next day, I suited up nicely and drove her to the city's top private hospital. She napped in the car. There was no chit-chat. At the hospital, she checked in like a pro, and then we waited in the VIP lounge. I fidgeted next to her, trying to play it cool. Alex, she said suddenly. Yeah. If the doctor asks, say we met organically and got married a year ago. Her voice was low, her eyes fixed straight ahead. Got it. Is there anything you want? She asked. Huh, beyond the 20 million. Hobbies, needs? A car? Something else. It seemed like she wanted to make our transaction feel fairer. I thought about it and shook my head. No, not right now. I was a broke guy whose biggest dream was quitting the daily grind. Now that it was real, I was satisfied. She glanced at me, but didn't say anything else. Soon, it was our turn. The doctor was a friendly middle-aged woman. Miss Quinn, your husband is joining you today? Yeah, he had the day off. Rachel flashed a soft smile I'd never seen before, even linking her arm in mine. I froze for a second, then played along, flashing a grin for the doctor. The checkup went smoothly. The baby was healthy. Leaving the ultrasound room, Rachel stared at the printout with that tiny blob for ages. For the first time, I saw a mother's glow on her face. Just then, my new phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. I picked up, and a loud voice blasted through the speaker. Yo, Alex. Dude, you hit the jackpot and ditch your bros. You quit that dead-end job without saying a word. It was my college buddy, Tom Wilson. I didn't know how to explain. Forget it. I heard about that gold digger ex dumping you. No big shit. I got a bar crawl lineup tonight. Let's get wasted. I instinctively glanced at Rachel. She was eyeing me curiously. It hit me then, my average life was gone for good. I ended up bailing on Tom's plan, telling him I was out of town and would catch up later. After hanging up, Rachel asked casually, Friend? Yeah, college pal. Your ex. Dumped you over money? She asked. I nodded, feeling a bit embarrassed. My ex was Lily Larson. We were together for 3 years. She left me for some BMW driving trust fund kid. Her parting shot was still burned in my memory. Alex, I loved you, but I love reality more. You can't give me the life I want. It was a classic sob story, but it still stung when it happened to me. Rachel didn't pry further, simply stating, You should cut ties with unnecessary friends like that. It bugged me. Tom was my best bro. How was he an unnecessary friend? But I kept quiet. Take the money, follow the rules. The ride back from the hospital was even quieter than the way there. I sensed her sizing me up like a boss vetting a new asset for potential risks. She probably wanted to confirm I wouldn't bring any drama to the table. Back at the mansion, I shut myself in my room, feeling irritated. This 20 million wasn't as easy as I thought. I figured I was just selling a title, but now it felt like I was handing over my whole social life, my past, everything. Rachel wanted a clean Alex Carter, one that fit her plan perfectly. That night, I got a call from my foster mom at the orphanage. She treated all of us kids like her own. I still called her mom. Alex, honey, how's work? Do you have enough cash? Her familiar, warm voice hit me hard. Mom, I'm good. The job's great. I just got a big bonus. I'll send some to you and the home soon. You keep it, sweetie. The city is tough. Don't worry about us. It's the least I can do. Hanging up, I stared out at the dark night, suddenly missing my old broke-but-free self. The next day, Rachel handed me an invitation. Grandpa's 80th birthday. You'll attend as my husband. I looked at the gold-embossed Quinn estate on the card, and my scalp tingled. Meeting the family already? In a bash this big? What do I do? Nothing. Stay by me, smile, and nod. Her tone left no room for argument. Remember, you're marrying in the Quinn family. You don't get a say. I gripped the invite. Fine, I'll play the part. If I'm a live-in son-in-law, so be it. On the day of the party, I suited up in the outfit she picked. The mirror showed a stranger. I never knew I could clean up this nicely in designer gear. Rachel wore a red evening gown that made her skin glow. She looked stunning. Her slight baby bump added a maternal vibe to her elegance. She linked her arm naturally with mine, and I caught a whiff of her subtle perfume. "Nervous?" she asked, tilting her head. "A bit," I admitted honestly. "Remember who you are, the man I chose." Her voice was soft but had a way of steadying my nerves. The car pulled into the Quinn family estate, a sprawling mansion far fancier than the villa we lived in. Luxury cars were parked everywhere, and the guests were clearly all loaded or well-connected. Following Rachel into the ballroom, all eyes locked on us instantly. There was scrutiny, curiosity, and outright snubs. I could hear the whispers floating around. "That's the guy Rachel picked? He looks totally average. Heard it's a shotgun wedding. Who knows where he's from? Lucky bastard. Just some office drone. Basically a trophy husband." My face burned, but I straightened my back, flashing the standard smile Rachel had coached me on. An imposing old man approached, surrounded by an entourage. "Grandpa," Rachel said. Grandpa Quinn eyed her bump, then looked at me, his gaze sharp as a hawk. "You must be Alex Carter? Happy birthday, sir." "Yes, that's me." He grunted neutrally, then turned to chat with others. He didn't give me a second glance. I had officially faded into the wallpaper. Rachel paraded me around, introducing me to relatives, uncles, aunts, cousins. Each one looked at me like I'd won the lottery by a fluke. Especially her cousin, Quinn Harper, who eyed me like I was trash. "Sis, your taste is getting unique," he said to her with a smirk, glancing my way over his wine glass. Rachel's face chilled. "Quinn, mind your own business. I'm just looking out for you." He turned to me. "Mr. Carter, where do you work? Is it a family business?" It was an obvious dig to embarrass me. Before I could speak, Rachel cut in. "He's managing some private investments for me. Our affairs are none of your concern." She tugged me back half a step, a small protective motion. It actually touched me. Just then, there was a commotion at the door. A sharp-dressed, handsome guy strode in. He drew every eye in the room. I saw Quinn Harper trot over to him like a puppy. "Mr. York, you're here." Rachel tensed beside me. Following her gaze, I saw the guy, Mr. York, lock eyes on us. His gaze skipped over the crowd, zeroing in on Rachel with predatory intent. Then it moved down to her bump. Finally, it landed on me, his mouth curling into a cold smirk. My gut sank. I guess this had to be the dead biological father. The guy's name was Zachary York. He sauntered over with his drink, slow and deliberate, each step pounding in my chest. The air around us seemed to thicken. Rachel's hand on my arm went cold, and I could feel her body trembling slightly. I flipped my hand over, gripping hers firmly. She jolted, shooting me a shocked look. I didn't look back at her. I just stared down Zachary. "Rachel, long time no see," he said, his voice smooth but his eyes full of possessiveness. He completely ignored me, as if I were invisible. "Mr. York, we aren't close," Rachel replied, her voice icy as she tried to stay composed. "Not close." He chuckled, leaning in and whispering so only the three of us could hear. "Then what's that kid in your belly?" Rachel swayed on her feet. I stepped forward half a pace, blocking her fully from his view. "Mr. York," I said evenly, "watch your words. She's my wife." He finally looked at me, disdain dripping from his gaze like venom. "You, the replacement." He scanned me up and down like I was a cheap knockoff. "Name your price. How much to walk away from her?" I laughed. "Mr. York, do you think everything in this world is for sale? Why not? 10 million? Or whatever that suit cost, times 100. He pulled out a checkbook and a pen, acting purely arrogant. I shook my head. "Sorry, my wife is priceless." Saying it, I surprised myself. Where did that spine come from? Was it the 20 million backing me up? Or was it the trembling woman behind me? Zachary's face darkened. "Kid, don't push it. You have no idea who you're dealing with." "I don't need to. I just know she's my wife, and she's carrying my kid. If anyone wants to hurt them, they have to go through me first." I felt Rachel's grip tighten on the back of my shirt. The guests sensed the tension and were watching from afar. Grandpa Quinn noticed the scene and frowned as he approached. "What's going on here?" "Grandpa." Zachary immediately switched to a respectful grin. "Nothing. I was just greeting Rachel and her husband." He stressed her husband mockingly. Grandpa looked between me and Zachary, his expression complicated. "Zachary, you just got back from overseas. Go mingle over there." He clearly didn't want a scene. Zachary shot Rachel a deep look, mouthed "You're done" at me, and walked away. Once he was gone, Rachel deflated. I could feel her fear. "It's okay," I whispered. She said nothing, but she held my hand tight and didn't let go. For the rest of the party, I was the real center of attention. Everyone was whispering, speculating on the relationship between me and Zachary York. I felt countless eyes on me, some full of pity, some full of glee, others just hunting for drama. Quinn Harper sidled up again, his tone toned down slightly. Alex, a word of advice. The York family's power is beyond your imagination. Take the cash and bail while you can. I looked at him once and ignored him. The ride back to the mansion was silent and heavy. The atmosphere in the car was suffocating. He wasn't dead. I finally asked, unable to hold back. That's the story we tell the public. Her voice sounded exhausted. I lied to him about losing the baby, then snuck back to the States. I thought he wouldn't track me down. Who was he exactly? Zachary York, the heir to York Enterprises. Our families were old allies, but also business rivals. She paused. He's controlling as hell. I felt caged with him. I don't want my child to live that kind of life. It finally clicked why she chose me. I'm average, I have no background, and I'm easy to handle. If she had found someone from a matching social status, the family wars would crush her and the baby. I was the perfect shield, a nobody that Zachary wouldn't take seriously, someone he thought he could buy off easily. Sorry for dragging you into this, she said suddenly. I watched the night scenery blur by outside the window, mixed feelings churning in my gut. The prenup says I have to play the part of a good husband, protecting my wife and kid. That's part of the job description. She turned to look at me, her face hidden in the shadows. When we got back to the mansion, she wobbled as she got out of the car, collapsing toward me. I caught her quickly. I'm fine, just wiped out, she said, her face pale and covered in cold sweat. Don't push it. Without thinking, I scooped her up bridal style. She yelped, instinctively wrapping her arms around my neck. She was light, fragile in my hold. I carried her up the steps, through the living room. Mrs. Walker gaped at the sight. Ignoring her reaction, I took Rachel straight upstairs, laid her gently on her bed, and slipped off her heels. Thanks, she murmured, her voice shaky. Rest up. I turned to leave. Alex. I looked back. Today. Thanks. Her tone was genuine. It was the first time she had spoken to me like that. It hit me somewhere soft. No sweat, mister. York's offer was chump change anyway. I joked. She paused. Then her lips twitched up briefly. It was a smile, gone quickly, but it was real. From that day on, things shifted subtly between us. She stopped treating me purely like hired help. We talked more. She'd ask about my past, my days in the orphanage, my college stories. I'd ask Mrs. Walker to save her some hot soup when she worked late. We still slept in separate rooms, but around Mrs. Walker, she dropped the distance. Sometimes she'd lounge on the couch and put her feet on my lap, so I could massage her calves, which were swollen from the pregnancy. I was awkward at first, but I got used to it. I realized she wasn't as tough as she seemed. She would get cranky from morning sickness and beamed with joy at the baby's kicks. She was just a regular mom-to-be who needed care. Zachary York loomed over us like a ticking time bomb. He hadn't made any public moves yet, but we knew he was watching. Rachel upped the security level. There were new faces around the property, bodyguards she had arranged. My life was affected too. I tried sending out job applications to find something to do, but they went nowhere. I knew Zachary was sabotaging me behind the scenes. He wanted me to be a total loser, a kept man dependent on Rachel, so he could crush me easily. It pissed me off, but mostly it fueled me. I couldn't just coast forever. One night, I was in the study analyzing stocks, using my own savings, not Rachel's money, when Rachel came in holding a file. What's this? One of my malls, Brighton Plaza. It's struggling financially. I want you to go there and try to turn it around. Me? I don't know anything about management. You can learn. She looked at me seriously. Alex, I know you're restless. Zachary wants you to be useless. I won't let him get his wish. A wave of warmth hit me. Aren't you worried I'll tank it? It's just one mall. I can afford the loss. Her tone was light, but her eyes were serious. I trust my judgment. I took a deep breath and took the files. All right, I'm in. The next day, I became a corporate guy. I drove to Brighton Plaza to start my first experience as a boss. But reality smacked me hard. The place was a mess. The facilities were outdated, the brands were stale, customer traffic was low, and the staff were slacking off. As the parachuted in relative, no one respected me. When I toured the floors, the sales reps were chatting on their phones, barely glancing at me. In meetings, the department managers were slick pros. They called me Mr. Carter to my face but ignored me behind my back. Any reform idea I pitched got shot down. Great idea, Mr. Carter, but the budget is too tight. That's too complex, we're short-staffed. Let's play it safe. It felt like punching fog. I told Rachel about the situation. She listened, then said, those people are old-timers from my dad's era, and some are relatives. You can't just fire them. So, I just watch it sink. I asked, unwilling to accept defeat. I gave you operational control. not HR control. She met my eyes. Prove it yourself. If you can boost performance by 20% in a month, I'll give you full power. I understood. This was her test for me. I gritted my teeth. Deal. For the next few weeks, I practically lived at the mall. I started with the basics: foot traffic surveys, competitor analysis, and chatting with floor staff to understand their difficulties. I found that the staff weren't lazy. They just lacked motivation. The incentive mechanisms were junk. Effort didn't pay off, so why bother? I decided to target that. I skipped the managers and found a few eager young reps. I used my own money to set up a Sales Star Award. Weekly, the top seller gets $5,000 cash. When word spread, the mall exploded with energy. $5,000 was more than half a month's salary for them. At first, many didn't believe it, thinking the puppet boss was just talking big. That changed the first week when I handed $5,000 in cash to a young shoe saleswoman. Everyone's eyes turned red with envy. By the second week, the sales reps swarmed customers with enthusiastic smiles. Sales climbed visibly. The managers started freaking out and came sniffing around, wanting a piece of the action. I brushed them off. At the end of the month, the reports came in. Revenue was up 30%. I took the report to Rachel. She looked at it, and for the first time, she smiled approvingly. You did it. So, about HR control. The official stamp will be on your desk tomorrow. She was decisive. My heart felt lighter. That night, I had a drink to celebrate. When I got back to the mansion, it was past midnight. The lights were on in the living room, and Rachel was sitting on the couch, waiting for me. You're back. Yeah. I sat down next to her, reeking of booze. Hard day. She handed me a glass of warm water. I sipped it, looking at her soft profile in the lamplight. She looked unrealistically beautiful. A sudden impulse hit me. I leaned in and pecked her on the cheek. It was light as a feather. She froze, her eyes going wide like a startled deer. I froze too. What the hell did I just do? I had too much to drink. I stammered, my face flushing red down to my neck. I wanted to find a hole to crawl into. It's over. The boss lady is pissed, and my $20 million is gone. Just as I was preparing to bolt from the room, Rachel grabbed my hand. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me. Her expression was complex: shock, shyness, and something deeper I couldn't read. Then, she leaned in and kissed me on the other cheek. We're even, she said, then quickly got up and ran upstairs. I sat alone on the sofa, touching my face and grinning like an idiot for a long time. With HR power in my hands, my reforms flew. I axed the deadweight veterans and promoted the hustlers. I revamped the layout, brought in trendy brands that young people liked, and ran several killer promotional campaigns. Brighton Plaza came back from the dead, transforming from a zombie mall into a local hotspot. Within Quinn Corp, I gained some credibility. Although people still whispered trophy husband behind my back, no one dared to look down on me to my face anymore. Rachel and I started acting more like a real married couple. We went for walks, watched movies, and prepared the nursery together. I would get up in the middle of the night to massage her legs when she had cramps. She would occasionally try to cook pasta for me when I was tired. The taste was rough, but the gesture was sweet. We never mentioned a prenup again, but we both knew things had changed. The baby grew day by day, and Rachel's bump became obvious. I accompanied her to every checkup, watching the screen as our little life formed. It was magical. I even started looking forward to the day he would call me Dad. Just when I thought life would stay this peaceful, Zachary York appeared again. One day, I was in my office at the mall processing documents when my secretary burst in, panicked. Mr. Carter, Zachary York from York Enterprises is here. He demands to see you. My gut dropped. It was showtime. Send him in. Minutes later, Zachary stormed in surrounded by bodyguards. He still had that high and mighty look, scanning my office with a sneer. Alex Carter, we meet again. Mr. York, to what do I owe the honor? I leaned back in my chair, faking calm. I'm here to give you one last chance. He walked to my desk, looking down at me. $50 million, plus a VP position at a York subsidiary. Leave Rachel and get out of this city. I laughed. Mr. York, that price hike is impressive. But you seem to have forgotten something. My wife is the boss of Brighton Plaza. A VP role at a subsidiary? I'll pass. Zachary's face stormed over. Alex Carter, don't be ungrateful. Do you really think your little tricks revive this dump? Without the Quinn family's resources, you are nothing. Is that so? I stood up, looking him in the eye. So what? At least every penny I spend is clean. Unlike some people who ride their daddy's coattails and think they own the world. You're asking for death. Zachary was enraged and grabbed me by the collar. His bodyguards immediately circled us. My secretary screamed in terror. Zachary, what the hell are you doing? A sharp shout came from the doorway. It was Rachel. She rushed in, her belly prominent, supported by Mrs. Walker. Seeing him grabbing me, her face went pale. Let him go. Zachary saw Rachel and froze, then slowly released his grip. Rachel, why are you here? His tone softened instantly, even carrying a hint of fawning. This is my mall, and this is my husband's workplace. Why wouldn't I be here? Rachel walked to my side, checking if I was hurt, then glared coldly at Zachary. Zachary, if you dare touch him again, I'll end you. Rachel, I just wanted to talk to him. Zachary tried to explain. I'm doing this for your own good. This man doesn't deserve you. He can't give you or the child a future. My future isn't yours to dictate. Rachel got emotional. Who my husband is and who my child's father is has nothing to do with you. Please leave immediately. Rachel, Zachary's expression turned ugly. Don't forget, that child is mine. It's my blood. Do you think finding a loser to use as a shield will take him away from me? He is not a loser. Rachel yelled back. He is 10,000 times better than you. He is my child's father, the only father. That sentence exploded in my brain like thunder. I looked at Rachel. She was looking at me too, her eyes filled with unprecedented determination. Zachary was completely enraged. Fine, fine, fine. Rachel Quinn, you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. I want to see how you strut around without the Quinn family backing you. He slammed the door and left. The office fell into a dead silence. Rachel's body swayed, and I quickly steadied her. Are you okay? She shook her head, but she looked awful. What did he mean, without the Quinn family? I pressed. Rachel's lips moved, and she finally said it. The York family has made their move on Quinn Corp. Zachary wasn't bluffing. He mobilized all the resources of York Enterprises to launch a full-scale commercial assault on Quinn Corp. Stock dumping, stealing orders, poaching core technical staff. Every move was lethal. Quinn Corp was already on shaky ground due to expansion in previous years, and with Zachary's attack, it instantly fell into a huge crisis. The company's stock price hit the limit down continuously. Banks called in loans, partners terminated contracts, and negative news flooded the media. Grandpa Quinn was hospitalized from anger. The Quinn relatives were running around like headless chickens. Quinn Harper was the first to jump out and point the finger at Rachel. It's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on being with that poor boy and offending Mr. York, would our family be in this mess? Yeah, Rachel, you're too selfish. Dragging the whole family down for an outsider. Go apologize to Mr. York. As long as you go back to him, everything will be solved. Rachel became the family center. She faced countless accusations and pressure every day, but she never compromised. Dragging her increasingly heavy body, she sat in the company headquarters, trying to salvage the situation. But Zachary was out for blood this time, and Quinn Corp's situation grew more desperate by the day. Watching her drag her exhausted body home every day, her face getting paler, killed me inside. All I could do was give her a hug when she returned and have a hot meal ready. I'm sorry, she said one night, leaning her head on my shoulder, her voice hoarse. I shouldn't have dragged you into this. I hugged her, gently patting her back. What kind of nonsense is that? We're husband and wife, aren't we? In my arms, she finally couldn't hold it back anymore and cried. It was the first time I'd seen her cry. She sobbed like a child. The grievances and fear she had suppressed for so long erupted in that moment. I said nothing, just holding her tight. I knew any comforting words were pale right now. The only thing I could do was let her know I was still there. After crying, she fell asleep. Looking at her tear-stained, sleeping face, I made a decision. I couldn't sit idly by anymore. The next day, I found Rachel. Give me a copy of all the documents regarding Quinn Corp's business dealings with York Enterprises. She looked at me in surprise. What are you going to do? Zachary wants to play? I'll play with him. Alex, don't do anything rash. York Enterprises is 10 times the size of Quinn Corp. You can't beat him. How do we know if we don't try? I looked into her eyes. Rachel, do you trust me? She was silent for a long time, then finally nodded. Okay, I got a mountain of files. I locked myself in the study for 3 days and 3 nights. I hadn't studied finance or business management. My only advantage was my average person perspective. Zachary and everyone in the Quinn family treated me like an outsider who knew nothing about business. That was exactly my opportunity. I carefully combed through York Enterprises' business map, its subsidiaries, investment projects, and partners. Zachary looked invincible, but his empire was too vast and had expanded too quickly. There had to be loopholes. Finally, in an inconspicuous corner, I found something interesting. A medical device subsidiary under York Enterprises was heavily promoting a new heart stent product. The largest raw material supplier for this subsidiary was a small company called Davis Tech. I dug into Davis Tech's background. The owner was a man named Leo Davis, a tech geek who focused entirely on R&D but was terrible at management. The company was constantly on the verge of bankruptcy. Most importantly, I discovered that Leo's son had congenital heart disease and had been waiting for a suitable heart donor for a transplant. And the best heart specialist in the city happened to work at the private hospital owned by Rachel's family. A plan slowly formed in my mind. I didn't tell Rachel my plan. I knew that with her character, she would never agree to me using such underhanded tactics. Using my own name, I invited Leo Davis to meet. The location was a very ordinary tea house. Leo arrived looking worn out. He was a middle-aged man with graying hair and sunken eyes. "Mr. Carter, what do you want?" He was direct and seemed impatient. I pour him a cup of tea. "Mr. Davis, straight to the point. I want to acquire Davis Tech." Leo froze for a moment, then laughed bitterly. "Mr. Carter, are you joking? Davis Tech is just an empty shell right now, heavily in debt. Why would you want to acquire it?" "I just want that high polymer coating patent technology you hold," I said. Leo's face changed. That technology was his life's work and the only valuable thing Davis Tech had. York Enterprises partnered with him precisely for that technology. "Impossible," he refused immediately. "I've already signed an exclusive licensing agreement with York Enterprises for that technology." "Agreements can be voided," I said, looking at him. "From what I know, York Enterprises only gave you a one-time licensing fee. They didn't give you any equity, nor did they help you solve your company's financial crisis. They just treat you as a cheap raw material supplier. Once they find a substitute or develop the same technology themselves, Davis Tech will be kicked to the curb." Leo's lips moved, but he didn't refute me, because what I said was the truth. "I can give you an offer you can't refuse," I said slowly. "I will buy 51% of Davis Tech shares for $50 million. Furthermore, I will hire the best heart specialist in the country to operate on your son." Leo jerked his head up, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. What did you say?" "You've heard of Dr. Victor King, right? I named the expert." Leo's breathing quickened. Victor King was a titan of cardiac surgery in the country. Getting an appointment with him was impossible. Leo had tried countless connections, but failed to get a slot. How could you possibly get him?" "Because Quinn Corp is the majority shareholder of the hospital where Dr. King works," I said. Leo fell silent. He looked at me, his eyes filled with struggle. On one side was the cooperation with York Enterprises. On the other was his son's life. It wasn't a hard choice. "I need some time to consider it," he said, his voice hoarse. "I'll give you 3 days." I stood up. "Also, a reminder, Mr. Davis, you should know Zachary York's character better than I do. Placing your hope in him isn't as safe as holding it in your own hands." I left the tea house. I knew Leo would make the right choice. 3 days later, Leo called. "Mr. Carter, I agree." I smiled. "Zachary York, your good days are over." I immediately asked Rachel to pull some strings and arrange for Dr. Victor King to operate on Leo's son. At the same time, I had lawyers prepare the acquisition contract. Everything was done in secret. Meanwhile, Zachary was still enjoying the thrill of driving Quinn Corp into a desperate corner. He probably never dreamed that the foundation of his empire had been pried loose by me, the loser in his eyes. The surgery was a success. Leo's son was out of danger. Leo was outside the OR, a guy in his 40s sobbing like a kid. He gripped my hand and said, "Mr. Carter, my life is yours from now on." "You exaggerate, Leo. We are partners." With Leo secured, the most critical part of my plan was complete. Now it was time to reel in the net. I had Leo unilaterally cut off the supply to York's subsidiary, citing a shortage of raw materials. This instantly choked Zachary's throat. That new heart stent was York Enterprises' biggest project of the year. They had invested massive funds and promotional resources, signing supply contracts with dozens of hospitals nationwide. Now that the raw materials were cut off, the production line stopped immediately. If they couldn't deliver on time, they would face huge penalties and the group's reputation would be destroyed. Zachary exploded. He furiously found Leo, threatening him and bribing him. But Leo was ironclad this time, insisting there was no stock. Zachary sent people to investigate, only to discover that Davis Tech had quietly changed ownership. And the new controlling shareholder was me, Alex Carter. I could imagine the look on Zachary's face when he found out the truth. He called me, his voice sounding like he wanted to eat someone alive. "Carter, this is your doing. Take it easy, Mr. York." I sat in my small office, my tone relaxed. How can you call business tactics doing something? This is just commercial strategy. What exactly do you want? He roared. It's simple. I tapped on my desk. First, stop all suppression of Quinn Corp immediately. Second, return all the orders and projects you stole from Quinn Corp. Third, publicly apologize to Quinn Corp and my wife. Keep dreaming. Then there's nothing to talk about, I said faintly. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. I've already had Leo reapply for patent protection internationally for the Davis Tech technology. You want to bypass us and do your own R&D? I'm afraid you won't see results for at least 3 to 5 years. I'd like to see if those billion-dollar contracts of yours can wait that long. After speaking, I hung up directly. I knew Zachary would compromise. He couldn't afford to lose. Sure enough, the next day, York Enterprises announced they were stopping the commercial attack on Quinn Corp. The stock market warmed up and the banks relaxed. The crisis at Quinn Corp was resolved. The attitude of the Quinn relatives did a 180-degree turn. Quinn Harper even brought a fruit basket to the mall to personally apologize to me. Brother-in-law, I was blind before. Please be the bigger man and don't hold it against a fool like me. His smile looked like a blooming chrysanthemum. I looked at him and felt nothing. That's human nature. When you're strong, the whole world smiles at you. That night, Rachel cooked a huge table of dishes herself. Although a few were burnt, it was the most delicious meal I'd ever eaten. Alex, thank you. She put some food in my bowl, her eyes sparkling. We're family. No need for thanks, I said with a smile. She looked at me and suddenly asked, Did you plan this from the beginning? I froze for a moment and didn't speak. Acquiring Davis Tech, using Leo's son. Did you calculate all of this from the start? Her expression was complicated. I fell silent. I didn't want to lie to her. The atmosphere became a bit awkward. Am I despicable? I laughed at myself, doing whatever it takes to win. No. She shook her head and held my hand. You aren't. You were just using your own way to protect us. She looked at me and said word by word, Alex, if it were me, I might not have been able to do it as well as you. My heart trembled. Zachary is holding a press conference tomorrow to publicly apologize, she added. Yeah. After this is over. What are your plans? She asked carefully. I looked at her, knowing what she wanted to ask. Our agreement was expiring soon. The baby was about to be born. According to the contract, I would take the money and leave. Suddenly, that $20 million didn't seem so appealing anymore. Rachel, I looked into her eyes, summoning the greatest courage of my life. Is the agreement still valid? Her eyes instantly turned red. She didn't speak. She just shook her head. Then, she stood up, walked to my side, leaned down, and kissed my lips. This kiss wasn't like the peck on the cheek before. It was deep and long, filled with the relief of surviving a disaster and affection that could no longer be hidden. Zachary's apology press conference was huge. In front of the city's media, he bowed to Quinn Corp and Rachel to apologize. That arrogant face was written full of humiliation and unwillingness. I knew that for him, this was worse than death. From then on, York Enterprises was greatly weakened, and Zachary became a joke in the business world. And I, Alex Carter, appeared on the major financial news pages for the first time as a winner. They called me the mystery son-in-law of Quinn Corp and a business wizard who won big with small stakes. No one knew I was just an ordinary man who wanted to protect his wife and child. Life finally returned to calm. No, it was better than before. Rachel and I became a real couple. We would hold hands on walks, cuddle on the sofa to watch TV, and argue endlessly about what to name the baby. She was no longer the high and mighty ice queen. In front of me, she would act spoiled, be unreasonable, and get moved by little things. I was no longer that self-conscious, sensitive poor kid. I managed Brighton Plaza, running it impressively. I also used my bonuses to set up a small investment company, which was doing well. I no longer needed to depend on anyone. I could use my own abilities to give the people I loved a stable future. The due date got closer and closer. Rachel's belly was like a blown-up balloon. Her movements became inconvenient, and she got anxious. I pushed aside all work to be with her 24/7. That night, she suddenly grabbed my hand. It hurts. I was terrified. I grabbed Mrs. Walker and rushed Rachel to the hospital. At the hospital, watching her being pushed into the delivery room, I felt my heart knotting up. I paced anxiously outside the delivery room. Grandpa Quinn and the Quinn relatives all rushed over. They looked at me not with disdain, but with genuine respect and acceptance. Alex, relax. She'll be fine, Grandpa Quinn said, patting my shoulder. I nodded, but my palms were sweaty. Time passed second by second. Every second felt as long as a century. Finally, the delivery room door opened. A nurse walked out holding a bundle, her face full of smiles. Congratulations, it's a boy. Mother and child are safe. My legs buckled, and I felt like all the strength had been drained from my body. Almost sat on the floor. I rushed over and looked at the tiny, wrinkly infant. He had his eyes closed, sleeping peacefully. My tears flowed instantly. Silly boy, why are you crying? Grandpa Quinn chuckled. I wiped my tears and took my son from the nurse. He was small and soft. Holding him, I didn't even dare to use any strength. I looked at him and felt my whole world was complete. Rachel was wheeled out. She was weak, but she had a happy smile on her face. I walked to her bedside and held her hand. You did great. She looked at me, then at the baby in my arms, and smiled. It wasn't hard. Look, who does he look like? I looked closely. The little guy's brows and eyes did look a bit like me. My heart warmed. Like me, he's handsomer, I said smugly. She laughed at me. The hospital room filled with laughter. Holding the baby and looking at Rachel, I felt like the happiest man alive. I had a home, a lover, and a child. That $20 million agreement, that absurd beginning, felt like something from past life. After the baby was born, my life changed completely. Before, it was a world of two. Now, it was a family of three. I became a novice dad, frantically learning to change diapers, feed milk, and rock the baby to sleep. Although it was tiring, I enjoyed it. I named the little guy Noah Carter. I hoped he would grow up to be a responsible man who kept his promises. Rachel recovered well after the birth. She handed over company affairs to her subordinates and focused on raising the child at home. Our life as a family of three was cozy and ordinary. My mom, the orphanage director, came to see us once. Seeing my life now, she hugged me, weeping old tears. Good, Alex. You finally have a family. I stuffed a card into her hand. Mom, there's $10 million in here. Take it, buy some things for the orphanage, and buy yourself some good food. I hadn't touched the $20 million. Now, I just wanted to use it to do something meaningful. My mom tried to refuse, but eventually accepted it after some pushback. She said she would use the money to build a new dormitory building and name it Carter Hall. I was a bit embarrassed, but my heart felt warm. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, little Noah was almost 1 year old. He could already babble dada and mama indistinctly. Every time I heard him call me dada, in that milky voice, my heart melted. Rachel's company, under my suggestions, made several successful investments. Not only did it survive the crisis, but it developed even better than before. Brighton Plaza also became the city's commercial landmark. As the son-in-law, I was now a figure in Quinn Corp whose words carried weight. But what I liked more was coming home every day after work to see my wife and child. This day was little Noah's first birthday. We held a small party in the villa's garden, inviting only a few of our closest people. Tom came too. He looked at me, then at Rachel beside me, and little Noah in my arms, his face full of disbelief. Alex, you kid. Nice work. You're a real winner in life. He punched me on the shoulder. I smiled and didn't explain much. At night, the guests dispersed. I held the sleeping Noah and sat with Rachel on the garden swing, looking at the stars in the sky. Alex, she suddenly said. Yeah. There's something I never told you. What is it? My heart skipped a beat. Is there some new trouble? She took a file out of her bag and handed it to me. I took it and found it was an investigation report. The title was Report on the Background and Character Assessment of Mr. Alex Carter. I opened it and saw it detailed my entire life trajectory from birth to now. My grades, my work history, my hobbies, even the reason I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. Everything was there. The last page was the conclusion. Summary, Mr. Alex Carter has a resilient character, is responsible, and values relationships. Although from humble background, he has huge potential. He is kind and principled. He is the best candidate for a cooperation partner. The date on the report was a month before I met her. I held the report and looked up at her, my mind blank. You investigated me way back then. Yeah. She nodded, afraid to look me in the eye. I didn't pick you randomly. I hired a private investigator to check all the single men in the city who fit the conditions of being average, clean, and having simple social ties. There were 37 in total. Then, I spent 2 weeks observing them one by one. Some liked to take petty advantages, some liked to brag, some were rude to waiters. Only you. I saw you give your umbrella to a homeless man sheltering from the rain downstairs, while you ran home in the rain yourself. So I chose you. I was completely stunned. The luck I thought I had, the accident I thought it was, it turned out to be her carefully planned premeditation all along. I didn't know what to say. Should I be angry at her deception and calculation? Or should I be moved by her painstaking efforts? I opened my mouth but couldn't say a word for a long time. Are you angry? She asked cautiously. Looking at her nervous appearance, I suddenly laughed. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her on the forehead. I am angry, I said. Her body stiffened. I'm angry you didn't tell me sooner, making me worry for nothing for so long. She froze for a moment, then laughed too. She rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, because I was afraid you'd think I was manipulating you. You were manipulating me, I grunted. Calculating how to make me your husband, your kid's dad, and make money for you. Then, are you willing to be calculated by me for a lifetime? She looked up at me, her eyes filled with starlight. I lowered my head and kissed her lips. I am. Easter egg 5 years later. It was the Quinn Corp annual gala. As the executive president of the group, I was on stage giving the annual summary report. Below the stage, Rachel sat in the first row with our 6-year-old son, Noah. Little Noah was wearing a small suit, looking like a little adult, clapping for me seriously. After the report ended, I walked off the stage and returned to them. Dad, you were awesome. Noah jumped into my arms. I picked him up and scraped his nose affectionately. Just then, an uninvited guest appeared in front of us. It was Zachary York. He looked much more haggard than 5 years ago, though still dressed sharply. Although York Enterprises was not what it used to be, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. He looked at Noah in my arms, his expression complex. Rachel, Alex, he said, his voice somewhat hoarse. Rachel frowned and pulled me behind her, a movement identical to when I protected her many years ago. Mr. York, is there something you need? My tone was calm. I'm getting married next month, he said. I wanted to come see the child. I exchanged a look with Rachel. He isn't your child, Rachel said coldly. I know. Zachary smiled bitterly. Legally, biologically, he isn't. But I just wanted to see him. I looked at his almost pleading eyes and sighed in my heart. I said to Noah, Noah, say hi to Uncle York. Noah looked at Zachary and obediently called out, Hi, Uncle York. Zachary's eyes instantly turned red. He took a box out of his pocket and handed it to Noah. A gift from Uncle. I didn't stop him. Noah looked at me, and I nodded. He took it. Thanks, Uncle York. Zachary looked at the child for a long time, finally said, I wish you happiness to us, and turned to leave lonely. Watching his back, Rachel said softly, He seems to have changed. People change, I said. As our family of 3 prepared to leave, Tom came over again. He was now the vice president of my investment company, and his net worth had multiplied several times. Hey, Alex. He mysteriously pulled me aside. Tell me the truth, is Noah actually yours? I was stunned. What do you mean? I ran into your ex-girlfriend, Lily Larson, 2 days ago. She said that a month after she broke up with you back then, she found out she was pregnant. But she was already with that rich second-generation guy, so she didn't tell you and secretly gave birth to the child to raise him. That rich kid went bankrupt and ran away later. She's raising the kid alone now, and she's having a hard time. Tom patted my shoulder. She calculated the time, and she said that child is most likely yours. I was thinking, Noah is 6 years old this year, and that child is about the same age. You get what I mean? My brain buzzed. I looked at Rachel, who was talking and laughing with our son not far away, and remembered what Tom had just said. A crazy thought surfaced in my mind. Back then, why was Rachel so determined to choose me? Was it really because I gave a homeless man an umbrella? Or was it because, in that detailed investigation report, there was a deeper secret I didn't know? Like, maybe I actually had a biological son out there? Did she use Noah to completely cut off any possibility between me and that child? Or, I didn't dare to think any further. I looked at Rachel's gentle smile, feeling a chill in my heart. This woman I had loved for so many years. How many secrets was she still hiding from me?